Pakistan's defense of terrorism. It is extraordinary that the state which protected Osama bin Laden and sheltered Mullah Omar should have the gumption to play the victim. By now, all Pakistan's neighbors are painfully familiar with these tactics of creating narratives based on distortions, deception, and deceit. This august assembly and the world beyond know that efforts at creating alternative facts do not change reality. Mr. President, in its short history, Pakistan has become a geography synonymous with terror. The quest for a land of pure has actually produced the land of pure terror. Pakistan is now terroristan, with a flourishing industry producing and exporting global terrorism. Its current state can be gauged from the fact that Hafiz Mohammed Saeed, a leader of the United Nations designated terrorist organization, Lashkar-e-Taiba, is now sought to be legitimized as a leader of a political party. This is a country whose counter-terrorism policy is to mainstream and upstream terrorists by either providing safe havens to global terror leaders in its military towns or protecting them with political careers. None of this can justify Pakistan's avaricious efforts to covet the territories of its neighbors. Insofar as India is concerned, Pakistan must understand that the state of Jammu and Kashmir is and will always remain an integral part of India. However much it scales up cross-border terrorism, it will never succeed in undermining India's territorial integrity. Mr. President, we also heard Pakistan complain about the consequences of its supposed counter-terrorism efforts. Having diverted billions of dollars in international military and development aid towards creating a dangerous infrastructure of terror on its own territory, Pakistan is now speaking of the high cost of its terror industry. The polluter in this case is paying the price. Mr. President, even as terrorists thrive in Pakistan and roam its streets with impunity, we have heard it lecture about the protection of human rights in India. The world does not need lessons on democracy and human rights from a country whose situation is charitably described as a failed state. Mr. President, terroristan is in fact a territory whose contribution to the globalization of terror is unparalleled. Pakistan can only be counseled to abandon a destructive worldview that has caused grief to the entire world. If it could be persuaded to demonstrate any commitment to civilization, order, and to peace, it may still find some acceptance in the Committee of Nations. I thank you, Mr. President.
I call on the representative of Afghanistan.
Mr. President, my delegation is exercising its right to reply because of one member state's erroneous claim regarding the presence of safe havens and sanctuaries in Afghanistan. Such reference is a deliberate attempt by the government of Pakistan to divert international attention over Pakistan's long-standing failure to take effective action against various terrorist groups and sanctuaries on its territory. It remains evidently clear to the global community that the propagation of terrorist activities by state and non-state actors in neighboring Pakistan constitutes the main source of insecurity in our country, Afghanistan, and the region. Afghanistan has persistently and consistently sought to address this outstanding issue through various channels, including bilateral and other mechanisms. Nevertheless, efforts to this end have yielded no results whatsoever. At this juncture, Pakistan has another opportunity to engage in a comprehensive dialogue to resolve outstanding issues that have prevented it from adopting a clear and decisive stance in combating terrorism and constructive approach for peace and security in Afghanistan and the wider region. In seeking a clear picture of the current situation, let's ask the following questions. Where was the mastermind of the international terrorism, leader of Al-Qaeda, Osama bin Laden, killed? The answer is near the capital of Pakistan, Islamabad. Where did the notorious leader of the Taliban, Mullah Muhammad Umar, die? Answer, in a hospital in Karachi of Pakistan. Where was Mullah Akhtar Mansour, the successor of Mullah Umar, found and killed by international forces? Answer, Balochistan of Pakistan. And guess which country's passport he was using for travel to different locations? Again, Pakistan. Where is the leadership of Quetta Shura and Peshawar Shura? Located at the very moment. The answer is, the name of the locations mentioned speaks for themselves. From the what country have almost every single terrorist element and group and about or more than 20 internationally recognized terrorist groups enter into Afghanistan, and they continue to do so. It's from Pakistan. What was just mentioned are few examples of the incessant support enjoyed by extremist groups from Pakistan. Moreover, these are not just saying of Afghanistan's. They have been claimed and verified by various credible international sources. Long before any international intervention and the so-called civil war in Afghanistan, it was the adoption of a policy of use of violent proxies in the pursuit of political objectives by Pakistan. Even though not necessary, we wish to categorically reject any claim of any support provided to terrorist groups in Afghanistan. The fact speaks for themselves. Now is time for Pakistan to opt for a constructive approach in combating terrorism and promoting peace in our region. Lastly, wasn't it His Excellency Prime Minister Abbasi himself who, in an interview a few days ago, admitted that the culprits of massive terrorist track bomb on 21st May in Kabul may have entered from Pakistan to Afghanistan? Moving forward, we will use any means possible, including negotiation and dialogue, to ensure security and stability for our people. In this context, our resolve and commitment to defeat terrorism is unwavering. And this is shown in action by the sacrifice of our brave Afghan National Defense and Security Forces every day. I thank you, Mr. President.
I call on the representative of Pakistan.
Mr. President, it is unfortunate that India has chosen to criticize the statement by the Prime Minister of Pakistan, which reflects the sentiments and aspirations of the oppressed and suffering people of Jammu and Kashmir, facing tyranny, repression, and brutalities of illegal and unjust occupation by India. The plight of Kashmiri people at the hands of the Indian occupation forces is being documented by the international community and reputable human rights organizations. Mr. President, the people of Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir look towards the international community, especially the members of the UN Security Council, to deliver on their pledge to hold the free, fair, and impartial plebiscite under the UN auspices, to enable them to decide their future. Let me re-emphasize and reject any misconceptions that India may have wished to create. India is responsible for undermining regional peace and stability. I have the sad duty to inform you that only yesterday, due to unprovoked firing and mortar shelling by Indian forces on the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir, at least 10 innocent civilians, including many women, have lost their lives on Pakistan's side. The shelling continues unabated, a sad reminder of Indian intransigence and stubbornness. This too shall fail. Mr. President, the strategy of offensive defense and double squeeze flouted blatantly by NSA Dawal, which India believes can make it a regional hegemon, can never succeed. Indian operators of mayhem and terror, such as Commander Yadav, caught red-handed in Pakistan while spreading sabotage, terrorism, and espionage, can never fulfill Indian dreams, which would remain just that, dreams. Mr. President, for our Bangladeshi brothers and sisters, let me add that they have to come out of the narrative of hate and dispel their twisted notions of history. There are no takers for their contentions. The issues of 1971 were agreed and settled under the tripartite agreement of 1974, which was signed by India and the Bangabandhu of Bangladesh. Hate begets hate. We have to move on. Mr. President, Afghanistan, instead of blaming others for its problems and failures, should focus on eradicating safe havens for terrorists in its ungoverned spaces and deal with its war economy and narco state that is major threat to regional peace and stability. I thank you.
We have heard the last speaker in the exercise of the right to reply. We will continue the general debate tomorrow at 9 o'clock a.m. in this hall. The meeting is adjourned.